last 10-15 years, there's been a gradual change, and a lot of students are going to academies now, film institutes. A lot of academies have come up, which are of decent and good quality, which have a good faculty and a good teaching, not just Pune Institute, but a lot of faculty. So that is one stepping stone where you go into an academy, because many times earlier, my previous generation, a lot of people came because they didn't know what, nothing else to do. They couldn't do anything else. They said, I'll join movies. I'm not successful. I can't be a doctor, engineer, and nothing else, and they're not doing anything at home. They would say, go work in the film industry. So that's the, I mean, not generalizing, but there was a huge chunk, at least in South, that was the general. And there are a lot of passionate people who just came away saying that I want to be a writer or a director or an actor, and then struggle their way through. That was the generation of Chiranjeevi Garus and all the major artists who have come through from NTRs to, at least in the South, who have come away from their house, struggled on the roads, and found their break in the industry. But nowadays, fortunately, there's a lot of academies and educational institutions that are cropping up, and I think that's a great place to start learning the industry. And I would suggest that after that, the next best thing would be not in a hurry to make a film or write a story, but work under someone. Work under someone, try to get a contact or try to get access to someone who you look up to, or you would love to work, or the similar body of work that they are doing, and go and work with them. And don't be in a hurry to, after working for 6 months, let's say I'm ready to make a movie.
But is it easy to get work or be an assistant?
I will be frank, it's not easy. It's not easy. You have to be persistent. You have to be committed. Okay. And I think nowadays there's a lot of opportunity. I think that now is the best time ever with the OTT platforms, with the television exploding, with movies looking for newer and newer scripts. I think it's the best time ever. If you are looking in the film industry, this is the best time ever. We are desperately looking for good writers. It doesn't matter from where you're coming, but if you have come from an institute and we see a quality, see certain quality of work that we can work with, we are all looking for, and I'm sure Sid will agree, all of us are looking for writers. But it is not easy, and it's not like it's going to happen over a period of time. You need to find that. If you might have to go to 10 offices, and finally you'll find an opportunity in the 11th office. So it's a struggle, but there's a huge opportunity at the same time.
Fantastic. What about you?
No, I actually completely agree with Shobhu. It isn't easy to start with. So, and I don't think, I guess no one in this room even has those preconceptions. Everyone knows that it's difficult. But I think whatever is in your control, you need to be able to do. So I think luck is when preparation meets opportunity, right? The opportunity is not in your control. The preparation is. So if you're able to invest in yourself, which is sharpen your skills as a writer, as a director, as a filmmaker, as an actor, in whichever capacity you want to be involved in the industry, work on yourself to that extent, number one. Number two, then really put yourself out there and knock on 100 doors. It's just about that one door opening, right? And we've all had, situations in our life where we've had someone take a chance on us and someone believe in us. And I think that's the most important thing, to put yourself in a position where you're able to knock on those 100 doors and be able to convince that one person to believe in you. And that's really what it takes. Then, of course, it's up to your own talent to be able to take that opportunity forward. But don't get disheartened, because it's not easy. There will be a lot of no's. You'll have to hear a lot of no's. But believe me, all through your career in films, you will keep hearing a lot of no's. I'm sure Shobhu and I both know that as well. It's not like we go to an actor today and every actor is like, yes, we're doing your film. Or that, there are a lot of no's that you'll have to keep hearing. But the beauty is that it's that one yes that can change everything. So just keep at it and don't, give up.
Which is so true. I mean, आप अगर कोशिश करते रहेंगे, the bottom line is कि अगर आप कोशिश करते रहेंगे तो वो एक ना एक दिन वो कहते हैं ना कि अगर रात कितनी काली क्यों ना हो, सवेरा तो होना ही है. So that's very important to keep chasing your dreams, to keep knocking the doors. But अगर एक filmmaker आता है, film बनाता है, अपने पैसे लगाता है, financial से पैसे लेता है, if he invests in his own movies, starts, makes a film, what about the distribution? Is releasing a film very difficult in today's times?
It will throw more light, but I think making a film
you
is...
You South Indian films as well.
I'm saying making a film is the easiest part of the deal. Okay. especially if you have no lead star cast, of known cast. Yeah. If you made a small film, that is the easiest part. You can put some money together. Some friends and some family will trust you and give you some money, and you'll go shoot a film, make it. It can be a brilliant film. That's the easiest part. If you thought that's a struggle, getting it to release is there's so many films today which are made, which are canned and are left in the don't have release, don't find a platform to release, because the marketing and publicity spend of a film it may far exceed the production cost of the film, and that you might never recover. So marketing and publicity. So what I always tell people who come to me, if you're going to make a film, don't just look at making a film. Look at what is your thought process. How are you going to get it to theaters, or nowadays you have other opportunities to digital platforms. How is the plan? Do you have have you thought through that? Don't just be in a hurry to just say I'm making a film. Think through how are you going to, which is the audience that you're looking for, what is the audience you're making the film for, and how are you going to reach out to that audience, in what way. Today you have social media, you have thing, what kind of social media platforms are you going to use to reach out to that, how will you create a buzz, and how will you excite the distributors to come and say that, okay, I'll give your film a chance. Those are all that you need to be thought through before, once the script is written and before you plunge into production. If you're not sure of that, I would say don't even get into production. That's my sincere advice.
But tell me, sorry, I'll just come to you on that. But when you started out, at the inception level of, say, Bahubali, when you're discussing with Mr. Rajamouli and saying that let's make it into 2 parts. We have Prabhas, we have Rana Daggubati, we have the entire cast, most of the cast actually from Telugu film industry. To release it pan-India, to have a pan-India release, dubbing it in Hindi, other languages and releasing it, distribution. The gamble of investing so much money, did that thought cross your mind?
Absolutely. That's always on the back of the mind of any producer. Whether it's a small film or a big film. And for anyone, if you're making a film with 1 crore or 100 crores, it's still a lot of money. For me, if I'm making a film, someone is making a film with 1 crore, 1 crore is probably his life savings and everything that is borrowed from everybody else. It's the same risk, actually, if you look at it. But as far as Bahubali is concerned, yes, when we started and we read the script, and when the script was done, when Rajamouli came with the script, we realized that it has a span that can't be contained in one film. Right, so that was a very early on decision that, and also the budgets that were required and the sets that we were going to build, and the effort that was going to go into it could not be justified in one film. So it was a very early call that we said we'll have to break it into 2 films. So they went back to the drawing board and reworked it and saw the entire screenplay from a 2-film perspective, and broke it down and said, okay, this is where we are going to, be the first part, and this is going to be the second part. And the early budgets were pretty much higher, but much higher than the regional film budgets, but still not what we ended up spending. So that was, if I knew what we were going to spend, ultimately we would have never made the film.
No, this is a revelation.
It's all because it was an incremental increase in budgets that once you take the leap, which happens in every film, I'm telling you, it's not a small film or big. Once you take the leap, the budgets are really not in your control. You can do everything to contain it, but it will have extraneous factors in change of vision and increasing vision and everything else, which will keep enlarging the budget. It's very lucky if you can pull it off in or under what you started off with. Yeah. In most cases, it can be, but it's not the So especially with someone like Rajamouli who has this huge vision, it kept increasing, and then we realized that this is one story. Again, not every story can do this. This is one story that can have a pan-India appeal. We don't need to have a star to appeal to the story. It's about kings and queens and drama that every Indian is used to. It's like the Marvel universe. We don't know who the star is, but people go to see the Marvel universe. You mean to see the film not because of the stars. We go because we are fascinated by the universe. So that's one thing that very early on had, and I think that's why we started very early on. Even in 2012 and 13, once we started production, the first day of shoot itself, we started engaging on social media platforms. We started creating that awareness and started building up to a pan-India release. But I think eventually what really helped us was the partnerships that we knew, and this is also a learning from Rajamouli's earlier film, Eega, which was a disaster in Hindi.
Unfortunately.
It was deserved a much better release and a much better. It could have done much better in the
Yeah, it
box
was
office.
called titled Makhi.
Makhi,
in Hindi,
yeah,
yes.
Makhi in Hindi. Although it did extremely well in
It is a
television.
fantastic film. If you watch it, please do watch it.
It's
That
a,
film.
it's a fabulous film. Did very well internationally in all the film circuits, but unfortunately in Hindi it wasn't released and platformed right.
Yes.
And that's when we realized, and I spoke to Rajmouli and said, we need someone in North who will be a partner for us and guide us through the whole process because we don't know Hindi industry. And that's how Karan was very. He was very receptive and he loved the idea and he loves Ziga and he loves Rajmouli and he said, without even batting an eyelid, he said, I'm on. And that's how that partnership, I think, helped us in the right platforming it the right way and reaching out to the Hindi audience. And of course, after that, the film did the talking. But to get it there, we needed all this collaboration. And similarly, we had partnerships in Tamil Nadu, partnerships in Kerala, which enabled. And what I'm trying to say, it was a long distance thought process. It wasn't that now film is ready. Now I want to release it in Hindi. I want to release it. It's not like that. If you do that, it's not going to fly. So it was something that was thought through all along through the production, whether it's marketing, distribution, partnerships, and everything. And of course, at the end of the day, all the stars had to align, and it was one of those projects where everything aligned, and it paid off.
Yeah, but look at the commitment of every member of this film. Everyone, be it Prabhas, the lead actor, Rana Daggubatti, to the producers, to the director, invested 5 years of their life. Am I right? Yes, 5 years of their life into just this film. They were not doing any other film. They could have done so many films. An actor does 2 or 3 films even in South India in a year, and he would have made tons of money. But he said, no, I'm going to do only Bahubali for 5 years. And that kind of commitment is rare. Coming to you, Sid, we're talking about distribution, coming to what he answered. How tough is it for a first-timer, or even otherwise for a filmmaker of repute, to get an outlet in cinemas, to get the right distribution channel, to put his movie on the screen?
It's tough, Taran. It's not easy. Like Shobhu said, the easiest part is to really get the movie made, because I think there's so many aspiring filmmakers with a dream to make that one film in their lives, and they want to start out and do it. And they put blood, sweat and tears into it. They'll spend a year or two actually writing it and then making it. And then they find that they are completely blocked at the distribution level because they don't find someone because they haven't factored in the cost of the marketing and distribution of the film, which we call the P&A of the film. And that can be, sometimes for a small film especially, can be 2 or 3 times your cost of production of the film. Then you're stuck, and then you're desperate, and then you go to, you do deals where you're going to actually be losing money on the table. So you really do need to, as a producer today, think through the entire process. You need to, firstly, the hat that we all have to wear today is also a hat about, is the project cinematic or not? Because it's not just enough anymore to just like a script, to think it's an entertaining script, it's a wonderful script. I really like it, so I think the audience will like it. Sure, they might like it, but we've trained our audiences now to wait for 8 weeks to watch a film on a non-theatrical platform. So they don't necessarily have to pay that 200, 300 rupees and get their, asses off their couch and make that trip to the cinema, deal with a whole bunch of ads before the movie, deal with people passing popcorn around and shouting around you and have an interval and all that. It's an exercise. It's become an event because they are now used to, at the click of a switch, all of us are used to it now, being able to watch whatever we want, whenever we want it. So now, not just as a producer, do you need to think about, do I like the script, do I relate to it, do I think, but is it a film that people have to pay money to watch at a cinema? Or will they very well enjoy it on a non-theatrical platform? And that's become one more factor today. So it's not. So the ones that seem to be working are films like Bahubali, of course, which is scale. It's epic. It's period. It's larger than life. It's wonderful, large emotions, beautifully played out. Films like that. Or you've got a high concept film that becomes what we call, like sort of water cooler conversation. Everyone on that Monday at the office is talking about, have you seen this film? And then you feel the peer pressure and you have to go and watch it. Because it's that unique, it becomes part of the sort of popular culture of that day or that week. Those are movies that people go to watch. But a drama that's an intimate family drama, or a light comedy that's not necessarily slapstick, these are genres that today might not exist for cinema anymore. They might be, films that you have to make for a platform. So that becomes very important for a producer to think through about when he's making a film.
You know, coming to what you just mentioned, कि हम पहले फिल्म बना लेंगे उसके बाद डिसाइड करेंगे कि कहाँ डालना है. You know, ऐसा कई बार हुआ है. Recently एक फिल्म आई थी with known stars, produced by Karan Johar, directed by Tarun Mansukhani, जिन्होंने दोस्ताना बनाई थी. This combination, they made a film called Drive, starring Sushant Singh. आप लोग ने शायद देखी होगी Netflix पे. Okay, whatever the, let's not discuss the film. That's beside the point. But वो फिल्म बनी थी larger audience के लिए, एक बड़े पर्दे के लिए बनी थी. It was made for the big screen, starring Sushant Singh and Jacqueline Fernandez. For reasons best known to Mr. Karan Johar and his company, they decided to not release it in theaters, but put it on Netflix, on the digital platform. Now tell me one thing. When you make a film, I'm not talking of Drive, let's keep that away. When you make a film, you want a larger section of audience to watch it. You basically want to have the big screen experience. But suddenly you realize that this film is not going to work. You put it on the digital platform. It happened with Ronnie Screwwala's one of the films also. Is it heartbreaking? Is it heartbreaking and also backbreaking in terms of financially?
So if it's a decision you've taken in the course of making the film, then of course, if you've started out wanting it to be theatrical and realized somewhere along the line that it might not be most lucrative or the most sensible or most optimal thing for you to have a theatrical release, of course there will be broken hearts around you. But you as a producer need to harden your heart and go and do what you need to do. But you know, we are assuming that the platforms that are waiting for us to come to them with movies that we don't want to release theatrically. That's not true. They're also looking for good content. And over a period of time, it's not like that's going to be a default option where they're just waiting to sign you on saying, Acha, you don't want to release it theatrically, come.
Right,
you know,
right.
That's not true either. So we've got to make, the film has to be good regardless. Then it becomes about, did you start out thinking I can put it on a non-theatrical platform? Then great. Then there's no other expectations all around. You're making it for an OTT platform and everyone's aligned. But of course, there will be broken hearts if in the course of the making, you make that decision. But sometimes that can be the best decision that you've made because that film doesn't get the label of being a flop at the box office, number one.
Yes.
Number two, and from what one hears from the OTT platforms, sometimes you might not even imagine the countries in which that content is working and resonating, where you might never have been able to give it a theatrical release.
Right.
So in South America, for example, or in Japan or in Spain, your film is getting watched in 190 countries around the world, and people who you could never have had access to it are now getting access. That's the other beauty of it. So I think we have to embrace technology. There's no point beating our chests and saying that we have to fight against it. But we have to be savvy and smart now about what is cinematic and what is non-cinematic.
Shobhuji, what do you feel about this? About the fact that you made a film for the audience and suddenly you realize, I'm sure it's not happened with you, but you realize, no, it's not working. Let me put it on the digital platform.
No, yeah. See, it's definitely a hard decision if it happens midway. But again, like Sid said, it's not an easy. If I have a buyer from an OTT platform, I feel lucky because it's not that they're ready to take it, but if they feel that this particular film, although might not be suited for a theatrical release, will work on their platform because they have huge analytics. They know what viewers are watching, what kind of films, how much viewership they have. They're very thorough with that. They really know what the numbers speak. If they feel that this film might not work, if I feel it won't work on the box office, but they feel that it'll work on their platform and they're going to take it, I'm actually will be happy in the other way around because at least I've saved my P&A costs. The film didn't turn out the way I wanted for the box office, but it is there's a platform which feels that it'll work for them and they're going to take it. I'm happy in a way actually because there is a way out. Otherwise, if there was no OTT platform and if you didn't think it was going to work on the thing, the other thing would have been to can the whole thing and write down the entire cost of production, which is a bigger loss and to everybody, and it's a bigger hurt to everybody. It hurts more when the film doesn't get to the box office.
Yes. Some time back you just mentioned that the budgets of Bahubali kept on increasing, and जब आप एक फिल्म शुरू करते हैं तो producer, director, writer, they all sit down and chalk out a budget of film. It goes over budget. Did that thought cross your mind that how will I recover this? Will I lose money? Will the audience be equally excited to watch a film in two parts? Because when you ended the first part, you ended with Katappa killing Bahubali. that was a big gamble, you know. So, and you've invested, and you started work on the second film as well before the reaction to the first film is out. What happens to the budgets then? What if they escalate?
So it's a very, I mean, it's a very difficult question to answer. In a sense, it's very subjective, and you take it with the flow as it's going. And there is always a fear of the escalating budgets and how you recover the cost. I would be lying if I said there's no fear. I've spent many sleepless nights over that. Like I said, but the thing is, once you're in, you have to be all in. You can't and see how you maneuver the way through it. You can't let that fear stop you from what you have to do, right? And it's not just about production, but how you reach a bigger audience, how you work through the various opportunities and increase the revenue for the film. That's the only way out, right? And hope and pray that the audience likes it, because there's no way I can, even if it's Rajamouli or whoever it may be, there's no way you can say that this film 100% is going to be a blockbuster in the box office. For various reasons that are unknown to you, it can go wrong. So it's a difficult phase, and it needs that you need to hang in there. You need to really see it, whether it's a small film or a big film. It's not easy, and you need to hang in there and see it with all the support that you get.
Yes. You know, I completely endorse this statement, because for every filmmaker, for every actor, Fridays are very scary. And यहाँ पर हम कहते हैं फिल्म इंडस्ट्री में कि हर शुक्रवार, हर फ्राइडे कुंडलियाँ बदलती है. यहाँ पर कोई जिनको आप शायद जानते भी नहीं होंगे, उनका एक फ्राइडे ऐसा जूम करता है और इतनी कलेक्शन, बॉक्स ऑफिस कलेक्शन चढ़ जाते हैं, वो आसमान पे होते हैं, और दूसरे फ्राइडे वो शायद ज़मीन पे होते हैं. Sid, you've made films like Wednesday, Kai Po Che, again with newcomers. Sushant Singh was, of course, a known name on the television circuit, but was a newcomer. That was his first film. And then you make Cake. You co-produce Cake with Sajid Nadarwala, starring Salman Khan. Rang De Basanti with Rakesh Om Prakash Mehra, starring Amir Khan. Chennai Express with Shah Rukh Khan. Now, when you're sitting on the table in your office, what is the thought process of green lighting a project? What is it? It's the star cast, it's the content. Or when you see a star cast, when you see an Amir Khan, Shah Rukh Khan or a Salman Khan come up to you, or their productions come up to you, say, okay, ye kar lete hain, without listening to the script. But आप Wednesday या Kai Po Che की script सुनना चाहते हैं. Is that true?
It's definitely true that it's much more of a head scratcher when it's a completely new script, new cast, whatever the budget might be, because, you know, as we've just been talking about, you've got to factor in your marketing and distribution costs and all that. But, you know, what we try to do at UTV and what I'm trying to do even, when I'm on my own now, is really react to the material, you know, and be able to, if you're excited by it, you think it'll make a wonderful film, you think it needs to be made with newcomers rather than be made with, you know, established stars,
right,
then you go out on a limb and do it, because otherwise what are we doing? I mean, the whole point is to be able to back the vision of someone which you have bought into. So that's important. When it comes to big stars, again, I'll be lying if I say that it's not tempting to say, let's not listen to the script at all. And I will admit also that we've been guilty of that on occasion and borne the brunt of it. But the films that you mentioned, like a Chennai Express, for example, that's a film that Rohit Shetty had brought to us. He brought the script to us, and we went to Shah Rukh together with it.
Okay.
So that was great. In the case of Rang De Basanti, honestly, it wasn't an easy decision at all. It was a fourth Bhagat Singh movie at that time.
Yes.
The whole cast of the film dies at the end, and before they die, they kill the chief minister of the state. So, and it had a lot of present and past going on. And Rakesh, it was his second film. And he made Uggs before that, which was a lovely film, but didn't work at the box office. So there were all these other factors other than Amir that were definitely staring you in the face saying, should you be making this film? But I think those are the times that you say, let's go with the material, we believe in it, we reacted to it, so let's go out and do it.
Yes. You know, Ditto, for you mentioned Morning Raga, which was a middle of the road cinema.
Yeah.
And then you make a film like Bahubali. So how important is the story? Say when Mr. Rajamouli approaches you and you say, okay, we'll go with it because it's a big film. And for a small film, no, I want to listen to the story. I don't want to know about. I mean,
No,
then we decide on that.
no, absolutely. Especially if it's a Rajamouli comes with a certain pedigree and a certain quality of having delivered a certain things. But even in spite of that, when Rajamouli narrated, this is an actual fact.
Yeah.
After he finished finished Bahubali, he narrated the whole script to us. And me and Prasad, my partner, listened to the whole thing.
Yes.
We really loved the script. But it is again, like I said, we knew it was not going to be made in the budgets that were profitable, or we would make a on-table profit with that kind of a thing. And we knew, of course, we knew that it'll only, if it said 100 crores that day, we didn't know it'll go to 400, but we knew it'll be 200 for sure. And Rajamouli, to be very frank, gave us the opportunity that day and said, hey guys, if you think that you're not up to this, let's drop this script. I'll rework on a fresh script, and which is much within the budgets, and we will look at it. No, we haven't spent much money, and it's time to take a call. Let's take a collective, informed call whether we want to do this or not. It's going to be definitely a long haul on this one. And we thought about it. We looked at the story, and the characters really pulled us in. And we know that Rajamouli is one person who can deliver. If there's someone who can deliver on this, it's Rajamouli who can deliver. And it was an informed call that we took to say that we are going all in with this one. And that was a gut level. There was no statistics, there was no marketing research, but within the group, within three of us, it was a collective call and said we're going in. And Rajamouli said, sure. I said we're sure, we're jumping in. So that's how it started. And even when it comes to small films, we're doing a small film now under production. It'll be releasing in April next year, small Telugu film.
Okay.
And we really like the director. He's done one small film which on his own, and which did which was very, very well received. I like his sensibilities. I like the way he works with it, works on the subjects and the kind of subjects he deals with. And once I saw the film, I told him, if you have story coming up, let me know, and we'd be glad to work with you. And he came with a story, and he said, this is what I want to make. And we heard the story, and we really loved it. And it's a small film. I said, go, we'll back it up.
Who's the director?
Is Venkatesh Maha, who did Care of Kanchatpalam earlier. So we are backing his next film. So he and his producer, Praveena, they're doing this film, and we are backing that up. So we really like him, and we like his sensibilities and his approach to filmmaking, and the kind of stories he wants to tell. So it's all, I think, depends on whether you believe, and I firmly believe that if for me, it's the director and the storyteller I should connect with, and then you bring in the cast and everything else. We like it that way. And if you like the story and it jumps out at you and says it's worth telling, let's do it.
Yes. You just mentioned that Rajamouli mentioned to you that it's not too late. You can think of something else or rethink on some other project. Tell me one thing. You are the son-in-law of celebrated filmmaker K. Raghavendra Rao. For those who are not too aware, Mr. K. Raghavendra Rao has been one of the finest commercial filmmakers of our times. He's made some brilliant films in Telugu and of course in Hindi. Hindi में बहुत सारी फिल्में. He's the person who introduced Sri Devi to Hindi cinema with a film called Himmat Wala. And he's made a plethora of hits, string of hits, and one of the best filmmakers in terms of commercial cinema that we've had, Mr. Raghavendra Rao. Did you ever go up to him and tell him, this is a script, I want your inputs on it. Should I make it in 2 parts? Should I venture into the Hindi film industry, or should I not?
Rajamouli worked with
Yes.
K. Raghavendra Rao, and he's been his guru for a long time. So he went and narrated the story, and but their sensibilities are quite different. Eventually, Rajamouli's sensibilities and Raghavendra Rao's sensibilities are quite different. Although they're both commercial, they still have a certain.
Yes.
So Raghavendra Rao said, "I will stay out of this. I will let." Rajamouli is more than capable of handling the thing.
Right.
So if I get involved and if I say something, it's not going to, so he just stayed out of the whole thing. But he did hear the script.
Yeah, and what was
And
his-
he did, actually, to be this thing, he did like the concept of breaking it into 2 films and 2
He
parts.
did?
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
Okay, okay. A lot of new people want to actually venture into the film industry. This brings me back to the same question. Perhaps they are not having the confidence, not having the funds. They don't know how one does approach to a producer or a director. Tell me, if at all they make a film, what kind of genre do you think is the easy genre to start with?
It's not an easy question to answer because a lot depends. It should come from their sensibility also. They should be someone who enjoys making that kind, because if they try to construct it as they actually enjoy horror, but they are going to make a comedy because a comedy seems to be what's selling, they might not make a very good comedy.
Yes.
So that's the problem. But if you just had to look at the genres that are working, I'd say one is your big ticket spectacles, which are made well. There are a lot that have not been made well and haven't worked also. But like a Bahubali is a prime example of one that is made with all the splendor but a lot of heart and great characters also. That's one. But if you're a first timer, you might not get that opportunity. But if you can come up with a high concept film, something that someone's not told this kind of a story before. So whether it's a Shumangal Savdhan or whether it's a Bala, these are all subjects that have not been told in our cinema before. And if you're able to sort of come upon one of them,
right,
and and you can position it as a comedy, but there's a subliminal social message in there also. Those are ones that people seem to be really enjoying. Slapstick comedy done well is something that always works,
Okay.
and I think there's always an audience for that. People have lived stressed lives, and if you can give them 2 hours of just non-stop fun, that always works. And I think horror and thriller are two genres that, when they're done well, seem to strike a chord at the box office even without stars.
Okay.
Because I think people enjoy that experience of sitting with 300 people and, being thrilled or getting scared, or, that sort of experience is a very cinematic experience. But if you've got a light comedy, you've got an intense family drama, those ones are the hardest genres today for cinema if you're going to pick one as your first film.
Okay. What do you feel about this?
Again, I think first and foremost it needs to be in alignment with the person's sensibilities, and he needs to be convinced that this is the story I want to tell. And that's the foremost. And then the budgets are defined by the script. So he needs to write in such a way that the budget doesn't. You can't write a plane crashing in midair and then say that I'll produce in 1 crore, right? I'm just exaggerating it, but or a bridge exploding and stuff like that.
Right.
So you need to write, if the budget is defined by the script, and you need to look, the script has to be written in such a way and contained in such a way that the budgets are low, right? Typically it will be within a room, within within a house and an apartment. Stories that you can tell in that contained environments are very conducive to low budget filmmaking. And I think those are the stories and again, if they're convinced about that story, I think that's where you need to start if you really want to make a film on your own.
In India, we're making a wide variety of films. We make we experiment with different genres. But one genre that is untapped, or should I say, not really utilized with the fullest, is animation. We've had animation films in the past. You've been part of it as well. Why is it that हमारे यहाँ एनिमेशन, हम हॉलीवुड की एनिमेशन फिल्में देख लेते हैं और बहुत पसंद करते हैं, पर जब हिंदुस्तानी एनिमेशन फिल्म बनती है तो हम उसे कहते हैं तो कार्टून फिल्म है, VFX बराबर नहीं है, मजा नहीं आ रहा है. We come up with 1,000 excuses. Why is it that our filmmakers are not too enthusiastic about making animation films? There's an audience out there. Why aren't we giving them those films?
I have to say that having run the Walt Disney Company, this is a question that we've scratched our head about a lot in the last few years. And we had some theories, and we think that those theories are somewhere would be able to answer your question. I think one is, in India, the culture of cartoon. I mean, we don't call a film an animation film, we call it a cartoon film.
Yes.
And
Which is a tragedy.
That's just, unfortunately, that's how we've been, sort of brought up with the culture of this being only for kids.
Yes.
Adults, if they have a weekend, they've got a Saturday evening, they want to go and spend it at the cinema, they will want to watch Salman Khan on screen. They feel like this cartoon, even if their kid is pestering them, they can get them a DVD or give them an OTT platform, and then the kid can watch it 3 or 4 times as kids do. But for them to take their hard-earned time and money and invest it in that at the cinema becomes very hard. And we've tried it. The other problem is that these films are expensive. You can't make an animation film cheap. So the barrier to making it becomes that much more when you're in a country where it's not something people want to consume theatrically, number one, very easily, and number two, the budget anyway is going to be so high. Whereas on television, because television in our country is virtually free, it's consumed ad nauseum. I mean, all your kids channels are living on animation.
Yes.
But that's free of cost in your home, and it's more done like a pacifier for the kids rather than something you are going to sit and enjoy.
Right. What do you feel about this?
Also, to add to everything that Sid said, I think like Pixar animation and all have really risked everything to learn the art of making it.
Yes.
And over 20, 30 years, they have perfected the art. And they were almost, if you read Creativity Inc. by one of the founders, you know how painful and how difficult and how hard it is to make an animation film. It's not. It's how to get the creatives right, how to get the storytelling right, and how to make it appeal to both kids and adults alike. They all Pixar films appeal to a larger audience. They're not made. They're also kids like it. It appeals to an adult family audience as well, and that they've cracked it over a period of experimentation, and they're risking their entire careers and lives. So it's something that's a huge barrier for us to do because it calls for a lot of financial commitment and people of high creativity who want to dedicate their lives to making that. It can't be that I made one commercial cinema, now I want to make an animation film. It's an art and science by itself. And I think people have to delve into it, and there needs to be people who can support it. Both don't exist right now, I think, in our Indian system.
Now, this question, I want you to be very, very, I mean, you be very honest otherwise also, but this is something that I want you to be very honest about this. As a producer, you look at a project which is content driven or box office driven.
It boils down to box office finally at the end of it. The content driven with a view to doing well at the box office.
Okay.
So it can't be that you look at a project and say it's art for art's sake because I want to support it. It's a very noble idea. I don't care what it does at the box office. Then you're a philanthropist or you're a like sort of patron of the arts.
Right.
That's a very different kind of. But if you're a producer whose livelihood or bread and butter and their whole team's future and existence is going to be based on the box office, you might be driven by your own sensibility. You might not be able to make certain kinds of cinema that's working at the box office. But even the ones that you pick which are driven by your own sensibility, it better be driven by finally the thought that it's going to be profitable.
Okay, so it basically boils down to box office.
Yes, it does.
What do you feel about
Absolutely, box office defines the whole thing, and you know that a certain kind of film can, based on the cast or the story or the thing, can fall into a certain level of box office expectations, right? And that's what defines the budget of the film as well. So I can't, take a very high content-driven film which I expect X box office and do a budget that is twice X of that. Unless it was something like Bahubali, but generally speaking, because that's how your budget is defined, the script is defined, and of course it has to be content driven, of course it has to be great content, but it has to appeal to someone in the box office. If there's nobody going to come to the theaters to watch it, then why make the film?
Why make the film?
And there's so many lives who have worked hard, who have paid for it, and whose careers depend on it, lives depend on it. It's not just one filmmaker. And I think you have to be answerable to so many people at the end of the day.
Yes.
So it has to be financially successful, at least plan to be financially successful. Whether it happens or not, again, is a bigger risk that nobody can tell. But at least on paper, it should makes sense.
This makes sense. And that would actually encourage you to make more films. Absolutely.
We need to make money to make more films.
Yes, absolutely. The final question, I mean, any thoughts that you would want to share with people out here before we take questions from you people, but anything that you'd like to add to them?
All I can say is it's not easy. It's a long journey, and you need to, and don't be in a hard rush to make the next film. Learn the tricks of the game, work with someone that you love, and learn the tricks of the trade. Be there, get noticed, and then the opportunities will follow. Yeah.
What about you?
Yeah, I think more on the same lines. Get used to hearing a lot of no's. There's no problem there. It's not personal. Don't take it personally. It's very easy to, because when you're a creative person, you feel someone's making a judgment on you. They're not. They're reacting to what their sensibility or their feeling is at that point of time. So you need to just develop a bit of a thick hide, because it's just about getting that one yes. So be okay with hearing 100 no's and just keep moving on.